The truckers say my wheels are my vote.
Yeah.
I'm not bringing my wheels there. But what's the outcome? The outcome is the fabric of America being torn at the seams. Somebody needs to stop this shit, man.
This is about control. Everybody knows. Everyone complies. We're the kinds of pros. I don't need a plane. I just hit the road. I do what I want. I can't sell my soul. Market about to crash. This is what you chose. Ruining the country. I think that's the goal. You gonna take the mark. I take narrow roads. I'm a man of God. I can never fold.
All right, here we go. Welcome to the Protect Your Purpose podcast, where we talk whiskey, business, friends, family, and freedom. Freedom. I'm your host, Matt Marchese, and this is my co-host, Zach. I failed a personality test, Grady.
What?
Yeah. Didn't you fail a personality test? Is that even possible?
I don't know.
You're the guy. You're the one who can do it.
My personality's a failure?
No, I'm just kidding. Listen, I honestly Googled some shit that I could say about you. I found that some people fail personality tests. I thought it was hilarious. And I'm a personality test guy.
How is that?
Well, we can talk about your personality.
Sucks.
And then we can talk about how you failed.
What a failure.
I don't think you're a failure at everything.
Just personality.
Just your personality is a failure. I'm just kidding. Anyway, welcome to the show, dude. Good to be back in the studio.
I know.
How you feeling today?
I'm good, man.
Are you?
Ready
Are you just
to rock
saying that?
this.
Are you just saying that for the audience?
Putting on a front, you mean?
Yeah. I mean,
No,
are you
I'm in a
really
good-
feeling good? You
Yeah,
look good.
I'm in a good
Good
mood.
and green. You're rocking a Serve Pro shirt.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. All right. Well,
Get
good.
it.
Well, listen, I'm excited for your new venture. I'm also excited about today's show. But before we get started, oh shit, we don't even have any glasses. Get us some glasses. What are we drinking today? We're not drinking shit today. Maybe we just grab.
We each have a bottle.
All right, I'm taking the. What are you taking? The rye.
No. It's the bourbon.
I'm gonna take the White Dog.
100. Ooh, all right.
I'm gonna take.
Still.
Yep, I'm gonna take the Moonshine Rye because they're here and they're already in kind of
Drinkable
bottles and glasses. All right, so we've established what we're drinking. How shitty are we at preparing?
That was bad.
We didn't even bring glasses.
I feel like we did a lot of preparing this time and missed.
And
that
no
little-
glasses.
That little tidbit.
That little guy? I
little
wouldn't
guy.
worry about that little guy. Well, anyway, all right, good. So before we get started, we got some housekeeping. Now that we've established what we are drinking.
Yes, sir.
Our housekeeping is what? Share the show.
Share the show.
Share the
If
show.
you like it, if you enjoy it.
Even if you don't, I don't give a shit.
Yeah,
Shit.
somebody else might.
You know what you should do? If you don't like the show and you hate us and you disagree with everything we say and you think we're stupid and lame and don't provide any value and you think that we're wrong about all of our opinions, you think that our whiskey sucks, you hate whiskey, you drink only vodka because you suck. I mean, because you think we suck, because you're right. If you think all of that, you know what? If you hate Donald Trump, share this show and tell everyone how awful we are.
Yes.
I would love to see people who actually hate the show share this show and be like, hey, don't check out this podcast. No value. These people suck. They're purposeless. They are failures. They look lethargic in their green shirts. Whatever you have to say negative about us, please put that in the description of the show that you shared. What do you think about that?
Don't leave a review, though.
Honestly, I don't give a shit if you read a review. Write a bad review too. Bad reviews are reviews. I mean, it'll give us an opportunity. Maybe it's a growth opportunity. If you write a bad, if you really hate our show and you really have like constructive criticism, put it in a review, or you can like phone into the show. You can direct message us on our Facebooks, Instagram books.
But also, if you really like our show, leave a review.
I think so too.
That'd be cool.
We would prefer the good reviews, obviously. But I'll take any review and any share. If you hate us, share it. If you love us, share it.
No pub is bad pub.
And if you're indifferent, if you're not even listening to the show, just share it and be like, hey, check this out. I didn't listen to it. Let me know what you think.
Might be good.
So here's what I want to do real quick on the share the show aspect.
Okay.
We got a lot of boomers that watch and listen. Okay.
Okay.
Got a lot of
The analytics telling you that?
Yeah, I don't even really know. I don't
Yeah,
know.
no.
The I don't know. No, and I don't know if we have a lot of boomers. I assume we do. Based on some of the feedback, I know we've got boomers that have no idea how to share the show. So every episode we get on and we say, hey, follow us, and they don't know how to
They're
do.
like, I don't know technology.
My mom doesn't know how to share the show. She listens to all the shows. She don't know how to share the show.
Tell her to use her mouth.
Well, here's how you share the show. Okay, on basically all platforms, YouTube. If you're listening on Spotify, if you're listening on Apple, or if you're listening on iHeartRadio, if you're wherever your podcasts are listened to or watched or viewed, consumed, there's right below the show, there's a little arrow. Sometimes it's like an arrow that looks like it's like
in a box.
Sometimes it's an arrow firing out of a box. Sometimes it's an arrow that's looks like it's shooting over maybe a mountain like a shooting star. Either way, click the arrow. And it should give you some options to either share to your Facebook.
Make a post.
Yeah. Or make a
Send in
post.
Messenger.
Worst case scenario, here's what you
Text
do.
it.
You copy link. You copy that link and then you right click and you paste that link into your stories or onto your news feed or wherever. And that is how you share the show. If you have any further questions about how to share the show, also tag us. Tag the show. You can tag me. You can tag Zach. We've each got our own little profiles. We've each got our AOL Instant Messenger handle that you can tag us in. So do that. We appreciate it. Greatly appreciate it. And today we've got some shit to, we're going to react to some news on
Yeah, we're going to
Mr.
try
Trump,
to
right?
break down Donald Trump's $355 million lawsuit.
Well, I can break it down for you without listening to whatever you have in store for us. And here, let me do that just to fire us off here. You can break it down by likely just knowing that whatever we're being told is a lie. Right? Did I get it right?
I think you might have nailed it.
Boom, done.
All right. That is the show
Yep.
for today. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys listening. Please be sure to share the show as we literally just talked about, and find your purpose, serve your purpose, protect your purpose.
But
All right, so what do you got? Let's listen. Let's play. Let's
so we're gonna listen to a New York trial lawyer, Mark Zaderer.
Where is this
This is on the Wall Street Journal.
Wall Street Journal? Okay.
YouTube channel.
So this is a Wall Street Journal.
Yeah, it's only five minutes, so
All right.
we'll check it out. But he's explaining the stake for Donald Trump's business empire because if you didn't know, he was found guilty of the fraud case in order to pay $355 million.
Which is outrageous. Which is ridiculous.
We'll get into it more, but where the fuck does that number come from? Who knows? What judge pulled it out of his ass? I don't know. But
Okay, before you get listen, I'll wait. I'll hear what they say. But
your point's probably going to come across soon.
I'm sure, and that's why I was like, wait a second before we listen. Let me. But you know what? We'll just listen.
Just go.
Let's just go. Press play on whatever your first gig is.
Go.
And
A New York judge ordered Donald Trump and his family business to pay more than $350 million in penalties for fraudulently inflating his wealth for financial gain.
Oh.
If upheld, the ruling could force
fraudulently.
Trump to forfeit a sizable chunk of his money and lead to a reshuffling at the Trump Organization, which is run by his sons Eric Trump and Donald Trump Jr.
It's a ridiculous award. Listen, a fine of $355 million for doing a perfect job.
for
We
doing a
asked Mark
perfect
Zaderer,
job.
a
He's
veteran
not wrong.
New York trial and appellate lawyer, to break down the judge's decision and what it means for Trump's business empire.
Oh.
I think it's fair to say that the Attorney General has accomplished her stated goal of bringing to account the Trump Organization as she saw it, because the court has
bankrupting
essentially
his
agreed
campaign.
with her. I'd say 100%.
He's talking about the New York Attorney General Letitia James, who brought the lawsuit against Trump and his adult children in 2022. James, a Democrat and vocal critic of Trump,
Go figure.
accused the former president of engaging in a decade-long scheme to fraudulently and falsely value his assets to acquire loans at bargain rates.
Donald Trump may have authored the art of the deal, but he perfected the art of the steal.
We're dealing with an unusual statute that gives the Attorney
Stop it,
General
lady.
extraordinary power.
Oh,
Hold
she
on, hold
fucking She thought she really got one,
Get
dude.
out of
That's
here with
fantastic.
this. Okay, so this lady hits him hard. I can't wait.
I want her to explain what he stole. That's what I would like her to explain.
Bro, it's a victimless crime.
He borrowed more money than he should have and paid back more than he should have.
Listen,
because his property wasn't worth that much.
What if? That's what I'm going to start with. What if?
Your what ifs, yes.
I'm going to start with what if, and then we're going to listen to the rest of this, and I'm going to fulfill those what ifs later. But it's ultimately, what if this is all to bankrupt a presidential candidate, the front runner in the 2024 election, United States presidential election, literally the most important election in the world.
Yeah.
What if this was literally to bankrupt the front runner, the political opposition to our sitting presidency? What if?
What if?
I'm going to do you one better. What if this was all a facade to make it appear to the American citizens, to America, and to the rest of the world as if we no longer have elections because we have become a complete totalitarian state? What if this is a grander scheme, like Donald Trump is in on it, to just show everyone that there is no more voting, to make us all lose hope and to make us all lose any sort of, any bit of purpose that we have, make us all quit?
Interesting.
Maybe. All right, let's listen to it. I won't interrupt because we got to listen to this because this can go on forever, right?
Yeah.
All right, let's go.
Regulation of the public markets that a private litigant bringing a lawsuit, for example, for fraud, would not have such an advantage for. In round one, the judge found that Trump had benefited, in effect had gotten the ill-gotten gains from his frauds. And what happened in phase two here, the trial judge, consistent with what he outlined in the first decision, made specific findings on how much those ill-gotten gains were. The judge tempered his remarks and observations to a certain extent, making reference to Bernie Madoff, for example, whom he posited as a distinction between Madoff's behavior and what he found here in this case, which he said, look, it's not murder. In his view, the remedies that he imposed were something, if you connect the dots, something short of what he might have imposed had the matters that he found were improper been even more serious.
Justice Arthur Engoron concluded that Trump, his eldest sons, and two former top finance executives were liable for falsifying records, issuing false documents, and other related conspiracy offenses. The judge ordered Trump to pay $355 million, just shy of the $370 million James requested. He also barred Trump from holding a position as an officer or director of a New York company for 3 years.
The most recent decision is not totally surprising, except in one respect. He said in the first decision that he was going to dissolve the company in New York, pull its certificates, which would be basically the death knell for the company. He did not do so in this most recent decision. One of the things that the judge noted in a footnote to his decision was a reason why he was pulling back on the cancellation of business certificates is what he characterized as potential economic harm could come from that remedy. Instead, he imposed a series of controls on the company to ensure that the continuation of the business would be closely monitored.
The judge extended the appointment of an independent monitor to oversee the Trump Organization for at least 3 years.
Wow. That monitor will be involved day to day in making the business decisions of the organization, and virtually nothing will be done by the organization without the approval of that day-to-day, on-the-ground financial monitor in the organization.
Hold on a second.
We're probably good on that video anyway.
Hold on a second. Are they saying that this judge, and maybe I didn't hear this right, I don't know. Are they saying that this judge appointed a court-ordered mole, a court-ordered government
look at it.
spy that must oversee the day-to-day operations of a business, which, by the way, businesses as their own legal entity also should have the right to privacy and do have the right to privacy. What just happened is, I think that's what they just said, that the judge has appointed an auditor that must see, there will be nothing that happens inside of President Trump's businesses that can't and doesn't run through a spy, a court-ordered spy from a Democrat that hates him. Wow.
That's wild, dude. That's wild.
Holy shit. I don't know that the American public is going to be able to see past numbers like $355 million. These are unfathomable numbers.
Which,
like, for
also
someone who
are
doesn't
just arbitrary. Like, where the fuck?
Yeah, not to mention
where does the number come
pulled out of the judge's asshole.
Right.
Probably, whatever they said recommended 375 and or 370 or whatever, just shy of that. Probably to say, well, we didn't do, like,
yeah,
at least it wasn't. I don't know. You got to think that number was pulled out of someone's ass, because there's no way you can make sense of it. And when you're talking, there's no way you can make sense of it. Let me rephrase that. There is every way to make sense of whatever you want, because they could just say, well, we are adding this value to this crime or to this charge or to this infraction of whatever sort, which is completely ironic, considering that that's what this whole witch hunt and this whole bullshit is about, is him appointing arbitrary values to things. Like, you can make that work. So that's probably where it came from. But I don't think the American public, I don't think the world is going to be able to see past $355 million, because $355 million to anyone that doesn't run like a multi-million, $1 million business is very difficult to conceptualize. It's very difficult to really wrap your head around. And I think that's a big time intentional, unintentional, I don't know.
Yeah, just surface level, you look at a $355 million fine, you're like, well, he must have done something that was super fucked up.
Bro, they told a business that you can no longer operate without a government spy who opposes your political views to run in your business. Businesses need privacy to work. Businesses need operational control over their own businesses in order to succeed. Believe me, coming from someone who runs multiple businesses, if I don't have operational control, it stalls growth. They're trying to collapse this person's business. Now, the question is, are they trying to collapse this person's business because they want him to suffer and they want him to not be able to fund his own political campaign? They want him to not be able to survive. They want to bankrupt him to take him out of the race to be the commander-in-chief? Mm-hmm. Or are they sending a message? Because I look at this as a business owner and say, holy crap, for something that we all do. All business owners that, especially in the real estate world, but I mean, business owners like myself, I'm not a real estate mogul or a developer, or, I'm not a real estate guy by any means, but I own real estate. And anytime you go to, we've talked about it on the show before. Anytime you go to purchase real estate, you go to seek a loan, you fill out your own personal financial sheet. Like, you fill out your own calculator of your own financials.
And of course you're trying to get the most out of your property as you can.
Well, the reality is my property is worth more to me than it probably is to someone else. And when you go to sell it, it's worth what someone will pay for it and what someone will sell it for. So for me, if my property is worth, call it $5 million, and someone comes and offers me $4 million and they say, well, it's only worth $4 million. That's what the county assessor says, or that's what the appraiser says. And I say, no. My property is worth $5 million. Why? Because that's what it's worth to me. I'm the seller. So I'm not going to sell it to someone that says it's worth $4 million, because then I'm not getting the value that I want, and I'm the owner. I decide my value. So now when you go to sell it, if someone comes and says, hey, I'll pay you $5 million for your property. Now I say, okay, we have now established the value. You have matched my ask, or AKA my value that I have placed on my property. So when you're the buyer, it's a little different. When you're the buyer, you go in and you're like, oh, it's in your best interest to have the lowest.
Or when you're the bank.
That's the magic. So now you go into the bank and you ask for money, and there's a discussion based on, well, this is the value to me. And the bank says, well, this will be the value to the buyer. And if there's a discrepancy, we then say, well, you're either going to, as a buyer, because that's what you're doing, you're basically, as the bank is doing, they're temporarily buying your property. They're giving you a loan against the value of your property. They are now becoming a lien holder on the asset, an owner of the asset.
Right.
Okay? They are a buyer. Well, it's the same discussion with a bank as it is a buyer. Like, hey, this is what I think the value is. Well, I think it's different. And now the bank being, super risk averse, they're going to say, lowest value possible. Yeah. And if the bank is loaning money on these properties, the bank made the decision. They are the ones that are responsible for their decision, not the person that owns the asset that says, oh, I own it. You can't fucking tell me what it's worth.
Right.
I own it. I am the sole owner, the sole decision maker on the value of this property. Now, if I say it's worth $30 million and someone's like, dude, it's worth $4 million. Well, that's on me. It's still worth $30 million to me. And if a bank as a buyer, be it a temporary interim buyer, lien holder, or just a buyer off the street, that's how values are determined. If I say it's worth $30 million and you're like, well, shit, I love that property. It's a one-of-a-kind property. I'll give you $30 million. Guess what the value of the property is?
$30 million.
$30 million, regardless of what an appraiser says. Of property value is worth what someone will pay for it and what someone will sell it. The owner will sell it for. That's what defines a property value. And because of this, they have now installed a mole in this guy's businesses.
Well,
wow.
We're also going to watch another video, though, as
okay,
to break down some of the potential impact this is going to have on New York City itself. So Kevin O'Leary, who I think most would consider a respectable businessman, Shark Tank, owns O'Leary Ventures, so he's a pretty
Mr. Wonderful.
Yeah, Mr. Wonderful.
Mr. Wonderful.
Pretty respectable gentleman. So
a hell of an entrepreneur and an investor.
And I don't know where
surely
he's
a real estate investor.
Yeah, and I don't know where he sits politically, in all honesty. I don't know for sure.
I've heard him talk. You know what, dude? I think like most of us, he's probably like I don't give it. He's a capitalist.
Yeah.
Like I don't care who is in the White House. I often get a rap for, being a conservative or a Republican or whatever. And I tried to not label myself any of those because at the end of the day, I'm a pro-freedom, pro-America, pro-Constitution capitalist. I believe in capitalism, not socialism or communism. I'm a capitalist. I believe that guys like Mr. Wonderful and guys like Donald Trump are the ones that have created America, the ones that have literally built this opportunity for people based on, the art of the steal or whatever. Like whatever the socialist or the failures, the losers are going to call it, or the Democrats, whatever, are going to call it. The reality is these guys create opportunity. They create opportunity within their organizations. Not only do they create opportunities within their organizations, but they create opportunities outside of their organizations for people like us to take advantage of. And that's the American dream. I believe in being able to grow some shit, build some shit, build wealth, build a family. These people are the ones that do it. So I don't know that Mr. Wonderful, doing the air quotes here, because I feel super gay calling a grown man Mr. Wonderful.
Well, you get the nickname somehow.
But I assume he's non-political. But I don't know. Let's see.
So this is him Kevin O'Leary, reacting to the Trump fraud ruling, breaks down the impact on businesses and the real estate sector.
Who is the what channel is this coming from?
This is the Fox News YouTube channel.
Fox News YouTube channel.
Yeah.
All right, let's rock and roll.
The decision yesterday in New York, you may have read about it. Crooked judge. Judge. He's a crooked judge.
You may have
He
heard.
talks like a fucking
By
cartoon
a
character.
left-wing judge was a lawless and unconstitutional atrocity. It's a sham case.
So
there
true.
were no victims, no defaults, no damages, no complaints, no nothing. There was nothing.
Well, that was former President
no
Donald
victims.
Trump slamming the judge who fined him more than $350 million in that New York civil suit. He's far from the only one questioning the merits of that case. Our next guest says that it might spur a mass exodus business-wise from the Empire State. Let's bring in O'Leary Ventures chairman and Shark Tank investor Kevin O'Leary.
True that.
It looks like all roads have brought us to
Yeah, why
Mr.
would they
Wonderful
wanna
this
be
morning.
there?
It's good to see you, sir. Thanks for joining us.
Happy to be here. Thank you.
All right, so part of the judgment here, it's not just the dollar amount. Donald Trump is barred from operating a business in New York for 3 years. One of my questions is, all right, let's say this all stands 3 years down the line. Why on earth would he want to come back here to do business after this?
All right, real quick, before he says this, I want to kind of give my piece on this.
Okay.
Surely he's going to say, based on the intro, that why would he want to come back there? He wouldn't want to come back there.
Right.
My question is, why would anyone still be in these states? They've already shown these cards.
Mm-hmm.
These states, these Democrat-run cities and these Democrat-run major cities and states, California and New York, leave. Get out of these states. Stop doing business in these states. Run as fast as you can. If you have a business, start planning your exit right now. Why? Because they have already shown us that they are doing everything they can to intentionally destroy these states. These are states that are America, that have defined America, like New York City and LA for years and years and years, decades. These massive, beautiful cities that, well, they've never really been beautiful, but these staple cities that define them, they're destroying them. It's intentional. Whatever he's going to say, maybe Donald Trump won't go back there, whatever. A message to the business owners that are operating in these states: pack your shit up and get out, because this is what your future holds. If you don't if you don't subscribe to the fucking bullshit Democrat policies, this is what they're going to do to your business. So regardless of what he says here, that's a takeaway that we need to know. Now, I have a flip side of that takeaway, that it's sad that they're doing this to our states, that they're tearing apart they're tearing the seams of our great nation. They're destroying the little bit of, in these major Democrat-run cities, they're destroying the little bit of bipartisanship that these places had, and they're doing it maybe intentionally. What if they're doing it intentionally?
What if?
To scare all the businesses out and create a completely divided United States, and get us into some sort of division, like a civil war. I don't know. Let's check it out.
Well, this case really isn't just about Donald Trump. This is an assault on the 11th sector of the S&P 500, which is real estate. Step back and think about what this means for the state of New York. Development of real estate creates millions of jobs in America. And once the buildings are stabilized and rented out or used for commercial real estate or whatever, they generate cash flow and they're put into REITs. And you and I invest in those. Retirees invest in them. And that's how they get income. That's why it became the 11th sector of the S&P. It's so important to the American economy. Very few sectors generate as much cash as this does. And so if you're a developer, you're an entrepreneur, you go to a bank and you say, look, I want to borrow $200 million to build a building. And they say, well, what assets do you have we can secure this loan against?
Here we go.
And you point to a building you built before. And you haggle and you argue about the value of that building. This goes on in every city on earth. That's how real estate developers who are entrepreneurs and take risk borrow money. That's exactly what happened here. Now, all of a sudden, after this is built successfully and finished, for some reason, this judge takes it upon himself to fine this developer. Forget that it's Trump. This is not about Trump anymore. If you're a developer and you see this happen in the state of New York, why would you take the risk to put up this much money and have a judge arbitrarily decide that you are in some form of breach of fraud when no damages occurred at all? And this is the same process that occurs everywhere. This is about the competition of states. I thought before this judgment that the #1 loser state in America was California, which is basically putting itself out of business slowly and surely.
Amen.
But after this judgment, I'm going to make New York the #1 loser state.
Calls them loser states.
Then Massachusetts, New Jersey, Michigan. These are places where taxes are not competitive. Delaware, for example, is now on the loser state list because it's unstable policy on the Elon Musk decision. You don't have to put your money into places where this kind of thing happens.
Yeah, man.
Each of us as investors,
Amen.
we vote with our capital. Why punish a great state because it doesn't happen to be on the east or west coast? I say go to Florida, go to Texas, go to North Dakota, Oklahoma, West Virginia. These are winner states. Why go to a loser state like New York?
Nebraska. Come on.
I think a lot of people are doing precisely that, not just with their businesses, but with their families as well. Kevin, we were quoting yesterday, the Associated Press said they could not find another case like this in 70 years under this law, the application of this law in New York. Have you ever seen anything like we just witnessed from this judge and this AG?
No.
No, I never have. And frankly, you know, what's occurred all around the world with developers look at this and don't understand why this complaint was brought forward in the first place. And my own opinion is that this will be overturned eventually somewhere. It has to be, because this is so damaging to business in New York. I mean, this stands up on the, if it did stand up, it would basically tell you as an investor to avoid this jurisdiction because of the unstable policy. Yes. It's wrong in every way.
Yeah.
I don't know how an arbitrary amount of $355 million was assigned to this, or why you banned this particular developer from developing for 3 years. Forget about the Trump factor. It's not about that. Yep. What does this say to everybody that wants to do work in New York, that wants to risk capital?
Not just developers,
it's
businesses.
A huge mistake.
Huge
and
mistake.
This judge arbitrarily deciding that this is the right amount, I don't understand it. No developer does. It's an atrocity, it's an embarrassment, but it's an assault on real estate, the 11th sector of the S&P 500.
Dude, way to go. You know, listen, I read a book by Mr. Wonderful, The Cold Hard Truth of Men, Women, and Money, maybe? Oh, here it is. The Cold Hard Truth on Cold Hard Truth on Men, Women, and Money. Boom!
You nailed that.
I nailed it. Yeah. Yes. I read that book several years ago. I don't know. It had to have been maybe 5-6 years ago. I don't know. It was a while ago. I recommend that. And Mr. Wonderful is a G. And I vowed that when my kids turn 14, and Cash has turned 14, I vowed that when my kids turn old enough to understand where they start, doing bank account things and money things. When your kids, you start giving them, you got $50. Do it when it's gone, it's gone.
Right.
Mr. Wonderful does a wonderful job in describing money. The guy is really, really a financial genius. And he put that on display here by explaining things like, this is not about Trump. Okay. It's not about Trump anymore. It's not. Forget about Trump, he said.
Insert any name.
Yeah, this is about developers. So that leads me to my what if. What if it isn't about Trump? Trump said it a few years ago. They don't hate me. They hate you. I'm just in the way. They're going after me because they don't give a shit about Donald Trump. They give a shit about destroying us. He's in the way. What if they were intentional? I mean, Mr. Wonderful says, they got to overturn this at some point because this is awful for the economy in New York. At some point, if New York cares about its economy and about its business, this is what's going to happen. Businesses, he also said, we vote with our capital. We're investors. We vote with our capital. Your state sucks. We're not investing in your state. Grant Cardone's saying it. Mark Cuban's saying it. Kevin O'Leary's saying it. I'm saying it. Me and them, we're all the big players. We're basically the same. No, it's the same, dude. We're not investing in shit states. We're not investing in anything in New York. We're not investing in anything in California. We're not investing in any of these shit states. What do you call them? Loser states.
Loser states, yeah.
We're not investing in loser states. And in fact, if you've got an opportunity, I'm out. Why? Because their tax incentives suck. I mean, dude, you're talking NBA players, NFL players that are like,
don't want to go to certain teams.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not going to play for the Giants. Yeah. Why? Because the state sucks. Because losers.
Let me go play for the Dolphins real quick.
Exactly, dude. You can be a shitty Dolphins and still yield a better player because of your taxes.
Yeah.
You know. He brings a different perspective, one that I could really resonate with, and I think I knew he was going to, from a business standpoint, from a capitalist standpoint.
And he talks about the 11th sector, which I'm sure that's over most people's heads, mine included. But he does break it down in an easy to a palatable way. Like,
yeah,
he even said it, like we've said here before. You tell the bank what you think it's worth. They tell you what they think it's worth, and you argue. He even used the word argue.
That's hilarious.
You argue about what it's actually worth, and then they give you money based off of where that argument lands.
Dude.
And so, like, they're saying Trump on what were you saying, his financial statements or whatever, overvalued his property.
Right.
But they never really actually say what the bank gave him. Like, it's because it doesn't matter.
Because it doesn't matter.
In the argument. But surely they didn't give him what he put on his financial statement, right?
No.
And they were all paid back with interest.
Or,
what the fuck are we doing?
Or
here,
the bank said, here's another factor, okay, that banks consider. Okay, basically, the first time, and I think I've talked about this before on the show, the first time I ever had to fill out a PFS, like a personal financial statement, which is basically once you become wealthy, once you have assets, once you become beyond a consumer, so to speak. Once you're a business owner and an investor, you start getting bank loans based on something different. When you're young and you're poor and you don't have any money and you need a bank loan, the bank gives you money based on debt to income and credit score.
Right.
Okay. As you build wealth, your debt to income and your debt to income matters. Okay, your bills versus your income matter.
Right.
Your credit score becomes less valuable, and essentially, your new credit score becomes your personal financial sheet. It shows whether or not you have the ability to be successful or not. So you've got that factor, okay, your financials, and you have banking relationships, payment history with the bank.
Right.
It didn't matter what he put on that personal financial sheet if he had a banking relationship for 10 years or 20 years or 30 years where he never defaulted on a payment. If you've had a banking relationship and you've got millions and millions of dollars worth of net worth to borrow against, the bank doesn't give a shit what's on that. They're going to look at it and be like, I mean, Mr. Trump, that's not what we would value your business. But at the same time, we've loaned you $30 million or $300.
You're pretty good at paying us back.
And you've never missed a payment. Therefore, we trust you as a client. If his net worth was zero and his payment history for 30 years or 20 years was flawless, they're still going to give him the money. Mm-hmm. Why? Because the banks are a business that want that business. That's what another thing that none of these people have even addressed the fact. The bank is a business and it's selling a loan to Donald Trump. The bank has a vested interest in qualifying Donald Trump. Because if they don't qualify Donald Trump, they don't get his loan. Someone else does, and that's how the bank gets deposits. That's how the bank gets other of Trump's business, is by negotiating. There's more factors involved in this decision-making, a lot more factors than what Trump puts on the personal financial sheet. Based on what my banker told me is, it doesn't, because I'm like, well, I was early on in business, and it's literally my first time figuring out, to where I went to my banker, and I'm like, help me fill this out. I don't know how to fill this shit out. Mm-hmm. And as I'm sitting across his desk saying, I don't know, what do I put? I bought that building for $400,000. I put about 50, 60 grand into it. I think appreciation, blah, blah, blah. What do I put in this thing? What do I put in the value of this business? His response to me, I quote, "It doesn't matter. We're going to do our own evaluation of that regardless. You can put whatever you want. And then he went on to explain to me that business owners oftentimes think their businesses and their value is worth far more than the bank does.
No shit.
Yeah, duh. So again, Kevin O'Leary, nice job. Dude, here's the question. The question is, are they doing this to send a message to business owners that if you fuck with us, we will shut you down? If you don't agree to our terms, if you don't sign up for our woke agenda, and if you go out of line, we will go to as far, like every business owner who's ever borrowed money did this exact same thing.
Yep.
They decided what their value of what their assets are so they can use it as collateral for a business loan. Everyone. I think that's what Kevin O'Leary said. Everyone in every state. That's what's done. So are they sending a message that says, hey, if you step out of line, we now have case law. We now have the biggest case in the world that says, hey, you step out of line, we'll bankrupt your fucking business. Just like they did to Alex Jones. Hey, Mr. Podcasters, you get out of line, you say one false thing, we'll ruin you. We'll put a nail in your business coffin. We'll shut it down if we have to. Is it a message? Or is it literally them just trying to shut down Donald Trump?
Right.
I don't know. What if?
Well, I got one more for you.
What do you
Another
got?
Potential fallout of this case.
How much time we got? Yeah, we got time. All right.
I don't know how. I'd like to see your opinion on this.
This is good, though.
Yeah, that is good.
I love the moonshine.
So, a group of truckers supporting former President Donald Trump are threatening to boycott deliveries to New York City following his fraud case ruling. This is from News Nation on YouTube. It's about 3.5 minutes long.
Say that again. I blanked out because I was admiring my whiskey. Can you read that again?
A group of truckers supporting
the
former
truckers.
President Donald Trump are threatening to boycott deliveries to New York City.
Okay, I'll preface this with, man, I don't know about the truckers.
Meaning,
I don't know if the truckers are being used as puppets. You know, they seem very organized for being a bunch of truckers.
That's true.
You know?
That's because they got them CB radios. They can all be
Yeah.
chatting.
You know, is there a truckers union that they're communicating through? You know, I don't know. But anytime there's truckers or farmers, you know, two people who are known for not being able to, you know, network, they're on the road.
Right.
Like their literal job is to be away from everything. So to be so disconnected, and, you know, truckers are not, you know, highly known for their tech savvy nature.
Sure.
They're Bluetooth with headsets that are bigger than our headsets they look like podcasters going down the interstate. You know, they got mouthpieces that wrap around. Like, I don't know. I think it would be hard for them to assemble in such large capacities without a central hub. And then it would lead me to, who's the central hub? Who's controlling that? Is it a union? Who controls the union? You know, and the same thing with the farmers, you know, in Canada, I think it was. Anyhow, farmers assembling in the fucking tens of thousands. Like, how y'all got connected? Was it on a Facebook group? Is it a union? Who's assembling this? They seem very organized.
Let's see.
And the logistics. All right, let's see.
Well, some of President Trump's supporters are pushing back against what they see as an unfair justice system, threatening a boycott that could have a major impact on the country's largest city. Some truck drivers say they're planning on refusing shipments to and from New York City in protest of that $355 million verdict against the former president in his business fraud trial. Dre Clark is live in Manhattan with the latest. Dre, what could this boycott do to prices, not just in New York, but for all of us across the country?
Well, certainly if truck drivers were to boycott New York City.
Hold on.
That's to your point.
What?
If maybe this is a big grander scheme to just jack up prices.
Right.
Yeah.
Is this a grander scheme to destroy the fabric of our nation? Like,
that
who
does make it seem like that could be a what if?
What if? Yeah. For the audience, what if This isn't what you think, which is that everyone thinks the same thing at this point. Not everyone, but I would say 90% of the people, Democrat or Republican, if you're a Democrat and you don't think that this is being done intentionally one way or another, either to destroy our country or destroy the Trump campaign, it's one or the other.
Right.
Because they're intentionally doing it. We know that. This is unfair and unprecedented. There is no fair comparison to draw in anyone listening to this podcast lifetime. Okay? Don't care how old you are. This is unprecedented. And to not draw that line, like, you're just choosing to bury your head in the sand. I don't even believe you. You're lying. You're lying to yourself. You ain't lying to me because I ain't listening to that shit.
Yep.
It's obviously intentional. But let's say, what if this isn't what you think for the average 90% of both Republican and Democrat and independent Americans, which think this is being done to destroy the Trump campaign? What if this is not being done to destroy the Trump campaign? What if Trump maybe or maybe doesn't have a part in this? And maybe what this is being done to do is destroy our rights, which is definitely going to happen, which we've talked about 1,000 times on the show, and destroy our country, which we talk about every show. What if this is another way, just like the last time? Remember the trucker convoys? Remember the supply chain? And we were like, wait a second. I got briefed on the ports in South Carolina at an event. I got briefed on the ports in Florida at an event, and they're saying, no, there's no there's boats sitting out. We can get them. They're being ordered to sit there. Maybe this is, what if, rather, this is a method of them driving our currency, driving inflation into...
And then when it happens, they blame Trump.
Of course. All right, let's keep going. What if, bro? What if? Press play, Zach.
The
Shit.
impact has the potential to be very damaging and very quickly. We're talking about supermarkets, big box stores, and other businesses that rely heavily on trucking. They would feel the pinch, and so would their customers. About 90% of communities here in New York City rely heavily on trucking to move their goods. This morning, we're on the Jersey side of the George Washington Bridge, and every day you can see hundreds, if not thousands, of trucks crossing the bridge from Jersey into the city. Meanwhile, one man is now telling truck drivers not to come to New York City after former President Trump was hit with that massive multi-million-dollar fine last week. Take a listen.
I've been on the radio talking to drivers.
Truckers are great too.
The last hour 15 minutes.
You wearing a Trump hat?
And
yeah, he sure is.
At least 10 drivers going the other way. I'm heading down from South Wisconsin, and they're going to start refusing loads in New York City starting on Monday.
Yeah, the man calls himself Chicago Ray, and as of last night, his post on X, formerly Twitter, had garnered more than 6 million views and 60,000 likes. Former President Trump also caught wind of what Chicago Ray is doing and reposted Ray's video on his platform, Truth Social. But it's hard to ascertain exactly how many drivers are answering his call and what kind of impact it may have. It's not an organized effort, and the drivers expressing support for Chicago Ray, they're scattered all across the country. We did reach out to the Teamsters Union, the union representing many truck drivers, but did not get a response. We also contacted and tried to call at least the National Supermarket Association, which is based here in New York City, but did not get a response. Meanwhile, a Chicago Ray says he and other truckers are irate over Judge Arthur Engoron's fining former President Trump more than $355 million for fraud. Ray, like the former president, believes it's a form of election interference. Meanwhile, we talked to one driver who says she's joining the movement to boycott New York City, and she says if things go as planned, the city could pay a big price.
What say you, bro?
Man, that's interesting.
Yeah.
That is interesting. It's hard. Yeah,
it's
hard to know it's hard to know where it's coming from, how it's happening, why it's happening.
After watching that and hearing, the guy posted something, a Trump supporter posted something. I mean, we've had viral videos that, yield 20 or 15, 18, 16, 8, 6, 5, 3 million views. There are people, viral views do happen.
Yeah.
Viral videos do happen that are unplanned. Also, viral, what the powers want to go viral goes viral also.
Sometimes, yeah.
So, I mean, but I think I could get behind this as
just a guy trying to make a stand.
Yeah, a guy taking a stand and then Trump retweeting it or re-Xing it or whatever, and somebody else retweeting, and truckers getting involved. I could see this being happening because it doesn't require any kind of convening. It doesn't require any sort of permits. Organization. It's just, hey, stop going there.
Yeah.
Stopping doing something is much easier to organize than starting doing something. Now, point still stands on did they do? I mean, again, I knew it, but we didn't even start these videos, and it's very simple to someone who understands business. Like, hey, if you mess with businesses, they're going to stop doing business with you.
Right.
Like, general principle in business, if you fuck with people in business, they'll stop doing business with you. So
pretty easy concept.
You're right. It's pretty easy, and they are obviously messing with them. And maybe the Trump supporters are doing that, but I mean, the outcome is the same. Either way, the truckers getting together and saying, well, we're going to stop doing that. You mess with our president, you mess with us, we're going to use our voices. Just like Kevin O'Leary said, our capital is our vote. The truckers say my wheels are my vote.
Yeah.
I'm not bringing my wheels there. But what's the outcome? The outcome is the fabric of America being torn at the seams. Somebody needs to stop this shit, man. Our politicians, they got to figure this out. They got to stop. They have to. There's got to be enough good guys left still, hopefully. What's that face for? You don't think so? You don't know?
I hope.
I'm not a genius. I'm not some, mathematical whiz. I'm not some, business. I don't know. Like, I'm not a financial analysis or analyzer. I don't do that. In fact, I work mostly off of instinct and intuition and gut, It didn't take much for me to see what the outcome of this is going to be, as far as how is this going to impact our communities and our government and our population and our economy.
Right.
Somebody's got to see this and say, hey, guys, I know, but again, this is all under a master assumption that they don't want to destroy us, and at this point, if you are still of the belief that they are not trying to destroy us, like, start going to the what if this is a big, massive destruction campaign for the United States of America to destroy our economy so we are weakened and brought to our knees, and weaken our military, make the poor more poor, dependent, make the rich fewer, squish down the upper middle class down to the lower class, make us weak, make us dependent so we are easy to overthrow. If you're listening, or if you have a brain, like, you got to read a history book. I don't care what history book you read, left, right, up, down, doesn't matter. In all of history, there has been a war for control over the whole world, over the resources of this world. The communists have always, in all of history, sought to control the entire population. Didn't go away. Didn't go away, right?
No.
Right. That is what's happening. But if you don't believe that, just go with, hey, what if that's happening? If they were to plan that, if they were to want that, rather, what would they do? If they wanted to tear America apart at the seams, what would they do? Does this make sense? What are you doing? What are you playing over there?
I just saw I don't know. Historians rank Biden as 14th best president. Trump is ranked last.
The last best president?
Yeah.
Historians. Yeah.
It just made me laugh.
They are definitely rewriting the history books as we speak. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, all right. Well, that was a fun, not so fun topic. I think we did a decent job of not bringing it all the way to the dark side.
Yeah.
It is dark and it is gloomy and
scary.
Yeah, it's scary and it's shitty too. shitty that when we get on here, that we can't just talk about what I've always said. Like, all I want to do is talk about success and growth. I want to grow my business. I want to build an empire. I want to build generational wealth for me, myself, my family, my friends, anyone who will listen, anyone that I can help. I want to do that. But instead, I have to literally be concerned as to whether or not our food and our resources are going to become so overly inflated that we won't even be able to grow a business anymore if you're not already a billionaire. Or worth hundreds of millions, or whatever the, entry level will be at that point.
Well,
I don't know.
Start point number 1 is go to a winter state and do it.
I think that's
as Kevin O'Leary would put it.
I think that's a fantastic takeaway. Is vote with your numbers, vote with your business, vote with if you hate the education system, get out of it. If you hate the business, you hate the state, leave it. And then ultimately, it's going to create a divide, but I think at this point, it's probably necessary. Let these losers in these loser states sit there and soak up their loser states until they finally come to terms with the fact that their life sucks. And if they want to be enslaved, and if they want to be in a 15-minute city, and they want to be in a pod, and they want to be on their game, and they don't want to see sunlight anymore, they're going to die. They're going to die young. Eventually, the population in those cities will die off, and eventually, it'll have to take a turn. But yeah, I think we vote with our business. I think, as Kevin O'Leary said, we're capitalists. We vote with our investors vote with our dollars. We vote with our capital. Business owners vote with our dollars and our employment numbers. It's challenging though, man, for people who have built lives in different states. I get it.
Yep.
But guess what? Life's full of challenges, man. And if you think the challenge of uprooting your business and starting over is bad now, wait till you have been
to pay $355 million.
Yeah. Wait till you've been sucked completely dry. Wait till the bloodsuckers in these loser states and loser cities have sucked your blood completely dry and bankrupt you, and then you can't move because you're bankrupt. You don't even have enough money to move. Sometimes, as we say in the Army, you got to cut sling load, you got to cut the dead weight, you got to cut your losses, and move on in order for yourself to continue to fly. Right? Have enough fuel. Isn't that where the saying comes from? Like helicopters, cut the sling load.
Yeah.
We're running out of fuel. We can't afford to carry this dead weight anymore.
Get rid of it.
She gone. Anyhow. All right. Well, good. Fun show. I hate it, but unfortunately, this is the world we're living in, man.
Necessary.
Yeah, I think so. Just for, just hopefully our audience and the people who are listening, hopefully just open your eyes a little bit. Open your eyes a little bit to the fact that it probably isn't what you see, and what it seems. Probably is, more or less a show, a lie with an ulterior motive.
Just end it with one question.
Yeah. What if? Yeah, I like it. What if? Anyway. All right, let's wrap this thing up. You want to tell them to follow us again, or subscribe, or share, or whatever you want to say?
Share
the show.
Tell somebody about it.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, right now, go tell one person.
Right now, we're going to stop right now.
We'll wait. Okay.
Did you share it?
Thank you. Thank you for that.
We really appreciate it. We really appreciate your love and your support. We're really trying to make a difference, trying to bring value. Look forward to we got studio renovations going on currently. Mm-hmm. Look forward to the future in that. We're going to bring you some fire-ass content, and hopefully we can survive this communist takeover and continue to share the love of the show. Okay. Anyhow, anything else?
Nope.
That's all for me, folks. As always, be sure to find your purpose, serve your purpose, and protect your purpose people. Peace.